Okay. What we're going to do is use algebra. We have to think about the algebra, okay? We get 400 here. Can somebody give me what 18 squared is?
325.
325?
24.
Okay, I was gonna say 15 squared is 225. Can somebody multiply 2 times 18 times 15? 540, okay? 540 cosine B. I want you to think about order of operations in solving this. We can first of all put these together, correct?
Yeah.
We can add those together. Can I subtract the 540 right now?
No.
Why?
So you add those
Because
together,
order out.
left to right.
Well, you have to add these together, but let's look at 549. Does everybody agree that I got that correct?
What?
Is that right? 549,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
CC, sure.
Now, can I do 549 minus 540?
No. Yeah.
Why?
No.
Oh, because this has got a multiplication by the cosine.
Exactly.
I cannot do that subtraction because we do multiplication first, okay? So we are gonna get rid of the 549 by subtracting 549. Subtracting 549, we get negative 149 is equal to negative 540 times the cosine of B. So all I did, I'm doing basic algebra there, but I have to remember I cannot subtract that 540 because that 540 has cosine of B on it. This is multiplication. To undo the 540 or the negative 540, what do I do? How do I get rid of negative 540?
Add it.
If I add it to this side, what happens to cosine B? Think of
By
the
itself.
opposite operations. What's my sign here? What's my
Oh,
operation?
divide it.
It's multiplication. The opposite operation is division. So that's how we undo it. So we take and divide by negative 540. That makes this 1. 1 times cosine B is just cosine B. Divide this by negative 540. The first thing I know is it becomes a positive number because there's 2 negatives. Now, I have the cosine B equals this ratio. So how do I put it in my calculator so I can find out what the angle of B is? If I have the cosine B, let's write it this way, equals the ratio of 149 over 540, okay? How do I put that in my calculator to find out what the angle is?
You divide it and then put it in the cosine. So it's 0.2759.
Okay, so cosine B is equal to, what was it?
0.2759. It keeps going. That's just 149 divided by 540.
Okay,
Negative.
now how are you gonna put it in there, Jake?
How did
Oh, go ahead.
those become positive number?
Because a negative divided by a negative is a
Okay.
positive.
Yes.
It's negative.
Now, how do I put that answer in? Cosine B equals 0.2759. Somebody tell me how I put it in the calculator to get my answer.
Inverse cosine.
The inverse cosine. We will put cosine of negative 1 of 0.2759 into the calculator and it will give it, as long as I'm in degrees, it will give me it in degrees. What is that degree?
73.984.
73.98, I'm gonna call it 70, what'd you say, 73?
73.
So I'm gonna call it 74, okay, I'm gonna round to the nearest degree, okay? So 74 degrees. So we just found B, which is 74 degrees, which if you think about it, 20 is my largest side, correct? 20 is the largest side. So across from the largest side should be the largest angle. And so when we split these two up, they have to be less. And when you're looking at these, always double check. C will be smaller than A as far as an angle, because the side C is smaller than the side A. So the angles across from the sides are in the same
74?
basic, pardon?
Is it 74?
Yes, 74 degrees. I started writing 73, but then we changed it because of 0.9 and something.
Okay.
That is really the only way to solve a triangle with 3 measurements of the sides. You cannot do it any other way. The other one I told you about up here, we can do a different way, but this one with 3 sides, you have to do it this way. But the most people make the mistake in doing the algebra part. So it's a good review of algebra, going back and remembering how do I solve something. Algebra is basic for all other math because you use algebra and solving things all through other math. You have to know some of the things that go with algebra. Okay, especially solving order of operations, undoing, those kind of things. That is crucially important. Okay. So that is the only way you can do it if you have 3 sides. You will have problems like this on your assignment, where they give you 3 sides and you have to solve it this way. Okay. So now let's go back and we're going to start with the law of sines. Okay, we're going to go back and look at our original problem that we did all that long work with the quadratic formula and everything. Okay. We're going to use it, we're going to do it with our law of sines. And this is the law of sines. It doesn't have 3 different things. It's one complete statement. It is the sine of an angle over the side length. So the sine of the angle over its opposite side will equal the sine of the next angle over its opposite side, which will equal the sine of the third angle over its opposite side. Okay? That is a true statement. This one, however, can produce different things, and you have to know which one you're using as far as if you get a larger answer or a smaller answer, the acute versus the obtuse. Okay, so let's see if we can come up with 10.8 by using the law of sines. Okay, so the law of sines, you have to have at least one angle and its opposite side. To use this, you have to have one angle and its opposite side. Because if you don't have one ratio, you can't find the other ratios. Okay, so you have to have at least one ratio. Okay. So let's see what we get. If we look at this, before we did B, we had sine of A, we have angle A, so angle A is 30 degrees, little c is 5, and A is 7. Okay, that's before we found this. We're still looking for this to make sure. Because remember, we went through that long process to get 10.8. Let's see if we get it this other way. So the one we have right now, the ratio we have is A and A. We have to have the angle A and the side A. So I'm gonna do sine of 30 over its side 7 will equal, and right now we can find the angle. We don't really know much about B yet. So let's find out what C is first so we can find angle B, okay? So what we're gonna have to do first is go with sine of C over C. Well, over C, which is 5, okay? Now, if I can find C, then I can find B, and then I can find its opposite side. Okay, so we have to get C before we can go any farther. You have to look at what you have. If something's missing, 2 things are missing, you can't solve. Okay, you have to have only one thing missing. So sine of 30, which was what, 0.86 something or other? Okay, times 5. So somebody do that in the calculator. Do sine of 30 times 5, then divide it by 7. Okay, because you do cross multiply. So this is sine of 30 degrees times 5 is equal to 7 times sine of C. That's the cross multiplication. So you multiply and then you divide.
Sine of sine of 30 was 0.5
Oh, sine of 30
times
is
5, and it
0.5.
was 2.5.
Oh, we did
times five.
cosine. Sorry,
okay.
that's why it was cosine last time. Okay, sine of 30 is 0.5, so it's 2.5 divided by 7 equals sine of C. Everybody find on their calculator what sine of C is equal to.
0.357.
Sine of C is equal to 0. What was it?
357.
357. And how am I gonna figure out what C is?
Negative, so
Sine to the inverse sine, which is sine -1, sine to the -1 power of 0.357. So you're gonna put in your calculator sine -1 of 0.357. And that will equal C. So how big was that?
20.91.
20.91, okay, so this is 20.91. How about 20.9, okay?
Wait, what is that? Oh, negative.
So
sign.
C equals 20.9, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if C is 20.9 and A is 30, what does C have to be?
You mean B?
B, what does B have to be? Oh, this is gonna be a,
130.
this is gonna be a,
Yeah.
149.1.
yeah, it's gonna be bigger. This should work on it. Let's see. We'll see. So B will equal 180 minus 30 minus 20.9. Okay. It makes sense though. 7 is across from 30. 20.9, 5 is across from that. So my bigger angle has a bigger side that we have so far. So this means B is going to equal, what'd you come up with?
20.9.
50, no,
149.1.
149.1, okay? That's not an acute angle. Okay, we'll see if this works.
Is that right?
No, it's 129.
Oh, 129.
Yes, it is, thank
Oh.
you. That was from 200. 129.1.
You had me fooled. I didn't check.
I
I'm
just-
so fooled.
Okay, so now I know B. So I can still use this ratio, sine of, which we already know, right? We already know that sine, oh no, we can't, okay. Sine of 30 over its opposite, which was 7, is equal to the sine of 129.1 over B. Now this one's trickier because the b is in the denominator. So it's gonna be sine of 30 times b equals the sine of 129.1 times 7, and then we're gonna divide by sine of 30. Guys, are you doing this? You're gonna need to know how to do this. Okay, so b will equal the sine of 129 times 7 divided by the sine of 30.
You write this down.
Okay?
There's like 1.
Okay. So. It's still cross multiplication, right?
It's still cross multiplication. I just want you to realize, so I cross multiply this times this times this. So since this is being multiplied by b, I'm gonna divide by that to get b by itself. Okay, I just want you to realize the cross multiplication, how that works, because a lot of you gotten used to multiply, divide, but when b's on the bottom, it doesn't work exactly the same.
Let's see.
So what do you get for an answer? I can do this, I guess. I have a calculator.
Oh yeah, you guys go ahead on this.
Put the thing in the calculator, see what you got? Come on, we can do it.
I'm still writing down stuff.
Okay. Where is it on this one?
So 10.86.
What? What did we get? Say that again.
10.8646497.
B is equal to 10.86 according to this method. What was it equal to according to my last method?
10.8 is
10.8. They're very close. Okay. We have rounding errors. Somewhere we rounded and got a little bit different. Okay. That's why it's a little tiny bit different. Because we did rounding. If we kept everything as full as we could, we should have got very close. But it still will probably have rounding errors. Okay. Do you see that? Yeah, this is a lot of work too, but it doesn't involve the quadratic formula. Okay. So again, you have to look at these things, figure out what do you have. If you have two sides in any angle, I would probably use the law of sines, unless the angle is in between. Okay. So I would use law of cosines for this, because that's very easy, it's straightforward. Okay. I would use the law of cosines for this. I would use the law of sines when it's a different angle than the one in between. Okay. And then also, if you have two angles and one side, if you have two angles, you actually have how many angles? If you have
Three
two
angles.
angles, you actually have all three. Okay. And if you have one side, again, I would use law of sines. Okay. So let's summarize this so you have it all down. Again, I'm going to suggest when you
Wait,
do
can you-
these.
Wait here. I'm gonna write down the.
Oh, I'm not erasing that yet. I'm just erasing this.
Oh. I couldn't get that one part.
Okay.
What was it saying? 30 over 30?
Together.
Like you can't move your head.
Bottom
You
up
just
there?
put your bottom up.
Cosines.
Cosines, just sines.
Really?
Two sides of each. I wrote it on there.
It's all down.
I'm gonna look at this later. Be like just as confused.
look at it and you'd be like, what is this?
It's one of
The
those-
worst part is I don't
Algebra.
start till Thursday for math, cause I have all the rest of my school tomorrow. So then I like
You just
forget
look at
all.
it after a few days and you're like, what is this? Did I write this?
I've had stuff all my.
Dude, I was looking at some of these notes from yesterday and I'm like, I don't remember that.
And not angle between.
What is this? I think they signed my name on it.
And,
Why is your script so
two angles,
two sides?
They're
And
not both
one
these down
side.
already.
okay, I just
Wait.
gave you, when you use law of cosines, when you lose law of sines, okay?
Difference?
Law of cosines is when I have the angle in between the two sides that you are given. Or I have all three sides and no angle at all. Those are the two times you have to use law of cosines. It's the only one that will work.
Law of cosines is the
The a squared equals b squared plus c squared. There's three different versions of law of cosines. Check to make sure that you're using the correct version. If you have an angle, you want to make sure you're using the one that has that angle in the equation. If you have all three sides, then depending on what angle you're looking for, you use the one that has the angle you're looking for. Okay. Once you get other information from law of cosines, you can go to law of sines to find all the rest. Okay, so anytime I have two sides and not the angle between them, it has to be two sides and not the angle in between, or two angles and one side. Okay, because there, right, you have is really three angles there. Okay, so those are the times when you use these specific things. This is a lot of formula, so a lot of algebra. A lot of what algebra is formulas and solving. That really sums up algebra. That's why these use algebra to work. We are using formulas. Okay, I gave you the formulas. I don't expect you to memorize the formulas. You just need to know how to use the formulas. And so you need to know how to solve them once you start using them. That's the important part of algebra, is you need to know how to solve them. Okay, go ahead, take a break. When you come back, we will start working on a few problems, example problems, up at the board.